Hi, seventh graders. We are not learning anything new in this lesson. We are just taking what we've already done over the last two and writing it in nice sentences that would make Miss Myers happy. So we are not adding any more pairs. We're not looking at any more content. We're just trying to find a nice way to answer questions that have to do with these angle pairs. So let's just quickly go over what kind of pairs we are talking about. So we've got our parallel lines cut by a transversal over here, and the first kind of pair we talked about was vertical. These were ones that were across from each other. So for example, if I say A, what are you going to say that is across from A? D. We talked about supplementary. These are not going to add up to each other, but they are going to be next to each other. So in this case, A and B would add up to 180 degrees. We had corresponding, which means it's in the same spot on the other line. So if I start with A, what is in the same spot down below? Like if I could pick up those top four and bring them down, what would be in the same spot would be E. And I've got alternate interior, alternate meaning every other. So an interior meaning inside like C. So what is across from C? I don't want the one next to C. I don't want the one on the same side as C. So that would leave F. And our last one was alternate exterior. So I could use A again. Which one is alternate to it? So I don't want the one next to it. I don't want the one on the same side. And I'm definitely not talking about the middle. So that just leaves H. So this is how the question is given to you. If angle 1 is 70 degrees, what is the measure of angle 5? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write in that space where angle 1 is the 70. And then where angle 5 is, I'm going to put a question mark because that's what I'm trying to figure out. So 70 and that one. They are in the same spot on the two different lines, so that is corresponding. Okay, so this has a three-part answer. The first part is I'm going to answer it. I'm going to say angle 5 is 70 because I know they're the same. Because then I'm going to name the two angles, 1 and 5. Now why we need to do that is because sometimes people will say like them, they, it, and I don't know what them is. I don't know who they are. I don't know what it is. So you want to be super specific and say because 1 and 5 are, and then you want to drop the vocabulary word, corresponding. Okay, three parts to this answer. You are going to answer it, angle 5 is 70. You're going to say which angles you're talking about because 1 and 5, and then you're going to give the vocab word are corresponding. So the full sentence, angle 5 is 70 degrees because 1 and 5 are corresponding. If 7 is 60 degrees, what is the measure of 6? So again, my first step is I'm going to write that 60 right in that space where 7 is. I'm going to put a question up here. So these two are across from each other. So I think through my pairs. Do you recall the name for the pair that are across from each other? Vertical. And do you remember what that means? That means they are equal. So I'm going to start by saying angle 6 is 60. That's step 1. Because, and then say the two angles, because 7 and 6 are, and then we're going to drop the vocab word. In this case, it is vertical. So I'm looking for three things. I'm looking for you to answer it. I'm looking for you to say the two angles and use the vocab word. If you only, like if I ask you this question, you just say 60. That is not a valid answer. You have to explain your answer. And this three-part system is a nice way to make sure you get that in there. So angle 6 is 60 degrees because 7 and 6 are vertical. If 4 is 73 degrees, what is the measure of 2? So first step, I'm going to write 73 where 4 is. And I'm going to write a question mark where 2 is. So these are right next to each other on a flat line. So what you think? Okay, they're not across from each other, which would be the same. They're not equal. They are going to make 180. So over on the side, I'm going to take a second and subtract from 180 and get 107. So angle 2 is 107 degrees because, and then you say the two angles, because 4 and 2 are, and then you drop the vocab word. Next to each other is supplementary. Okay, 3 parts. What's the answer? What angles are you doing? What's the vocab word? Complete answer, angle 2 is 107 degrees because 4 and 2 are supplementary. So your homework is 6.4, working on that. And let's make sure we get some nice sentences. Capital letters on the first one, periods at the end. And thank you.